I think as it's evolved so far, it's really clear that it's going to take some share from a variety of different methods, but the real question is going to be how much. And that's going to depend, to a large degree on the non-sweeping availability, because obviously it opens up a range of use cases, but also really crucially on how well it works and how much it costs. So, if you take the share from DD perspective and a DD versus VRP, in essence, VRP is faster with lower fraud risk than DD, but it has lower payment preference because no one knows what it is at the moment. Worse conversion and higher costs. So I think what's interesting is then you add VRP in a way that allows you to take it recurring, and it doesn't really change that. So for us, the heart is going to be about combinations. Actually, I think you're going to want to use it with some situations and some payers, but versus DD, you'll want to use DD for others. So if you're in a use case like many of the sort of core direct debit ones where fraud and security aren't very live problems, what makes it worth the extra cost and the extra conversion hit and things? Whereas probably the more exciting side actually is some of the newer use cases where previously direct debit wasn't really very viable because of the risk. I think on DD, we believe in the combination. We believe that the key is the customer segmentation and intelligence to be able to judge which one to use with which people. And a lot of that's the same with cards, actually. It is going to be cheaper. The fraud risk will be a bit lower. And the conversion and payment preference are going to be crucial again. Sort of the same factors at play. And I think there you'll see it take some share from things where the cheapness really matters and there maybe isn't as much to play on the conversion and the preference. But it's essentially, we think it's all to play for in terms of how much, but it's going to take some share from cards, from DD, and from things like PayPal.
I think we'll see early days. We will see the sweeping ones come through. £2.2 trillion in UK bank accounts, savings accounts, and cash ISAs, costing us all £27.8 billion a year in real terms. It's a lot of money to just sit in a bank account. So I think the first things we will see are people sweeping money to make it work harder for them. The virtual kind of overdraft facilities where we can move money from accounts that have got cash to avoid charges in overdrafts and credit card bills. And of course, that does put pressure on the banks who make a lot of money from those services. So I think it's great to hear that NatWest are going to hit the deadline. They're going to do VRP and sweeping at the same time, because that opens up a lot more opportunities. So the car parking one's great. We're all going to be driverless cars, so they can just pay tolls as we're driving along. I can set up a VRP for my children when they're at school to automatically take the money out for lunch. I can authorize it remotely if I want. There's lots and lots of things that we'll be able to do. But I do think, the original question at the start of this session was, will they replace existing payments channels? But it's a bit like, it's a twee kind of analogy, but it is a bit like asking Henry Ford if cars are going to replace horses. Maybe not on day one, but, they will, because as we've heard already, the other payment services are flawed for a digital world.